To begin, take a moment and think about the last thing you heard about, maybe on the news or in your social media feed, that got you really riled up. Maybe it was political, something to do with immigration, refugees, race, the environment. What did you do? Did you feel empowered enough to act or speak out? Or did you do nothing because it felt too big and you didn't think you could make a difference? Today, much like when I was young, I hear about things that rile me up. I was 9 when the Exxon Valdez spilled 11 million gallons of crude off the coast of Alaska. I was 14 when the Rwandan genocide was allowed to continue for 100 horrific days. And I was 15 when homegrown terrorists blew up the federal building down the road from my middle school in Oklahoma City. Those things felt really big. And I was a little girl in small-town Oklahoma. And if you'd asked me who has the power to change things, what does power look like, I would have said it was the opposite of me. Men in suits. Power rested in the hands of big banks and companies, politicians and millionaires. They had the power to shape the world and the future, and they didn't seem to care about the things that I cared about. So I did what I could to build agency in the world. I studied and worked hard, somehow found myself at the UN in my early 20s, followed by a string of amazing NGOs, sometimes in refugee camps, sometimes in remote villages in East Africa and Southeast Asia, chipping away at those global challenges. And I'm here to tell you something that it took me a lot of time and distance to realize. I am incredibly powerful. And in case you haven't had your aha moment, you are incredibly powerful too. We all are. And when we get together, things like this happen. When we get riled up. Maybe you were at the women's marches, or maybe you railed against them, but there's no denying that they were powerful. So powerful that for the first time ever, even the penguins and people of Antarctica joined in. In January of this year, between 3.5 and 5 million women, men, and children took to the streets on all 7 continents, in over 60 countries, over 100 cities, because they got riled up about something that needed to change. And that started with one Facebook post. So now, you know the secret ingredients for the next time you get riled up. Use one of these to connect with us, and we can create movements to change the world with tools as small as a hashtag. Just last month, Jérôme Jarre in France learned that a new wave of drought and famine had taken dozens of lives in Somalia. On a whim, 1 month ago today, he tweeted at Turkish Airlines, asking them for a plane to deliver food and supplies to the region. Almost immediately and amazingly, Turkish Airlines responded, saying, "Yes, we'll give you a plane and the crew. Now go get the 60 tons of food we can carry. And beyond that, we'll give you space for food shipments on every flight to the region until the famine ends." Jérôme started a hashtag, Love Army for Somalia. You can join it. He asked his friends to record 2-minute videos about why this mattered and tagged their friends, setting off a viral campaign that grew to include tens of thousands of people. Among them, actor Ben Stiller and athlete Colin Kaepernick. Their GoFundMe campaign raised over $2.4 million in its first 12 days. And in the 85,000 contributions, most of them were under $20, showing that a lot of people giving just a little can change the world. An incredibly selfless little girl named Rachel Beckwith learned that millions of people die before the age of 5 because they lack access to clean drinking water. For her 9th birthday, instead of gifts, She wanted to raise $300 to provide 15 people in Ethiopia with clean drinking water through the organization Charity Water. She came in just shy of her goal at $220, but undeterred, she promised her mom she would do better next year. Rachel died tragically in a car accident 1 month later. Over 30,000 people saw and shared her story online, mostly complete strangers. And together, they rallied and raised $1.26 million in Rachel's honor, funding 143 wells and water projects in Ethiopia. That one conscious act brought clean water to 37,000 people in Ethiopia. Technology can also arm us with the information to create long-term change. A Washington Post article explained that women control the vast majority of purchasing power in the world, but they aren't represented at the leadership levels of the companies they buy from. An expert was quoted saying she believed women would change their purchasing habits if only they knew which companies are actually promoting women to the top and which aren't. My friend Iris read that article and emailed it to our friend Camille with one line: "We can do this." And in their spare time on Sunday afternoons, they created the online database Led Better that showcases the number of women in leadership positions at the world's top consumer brands. It's a long-term play, but more women in leadership could equal more equality on so many levels. And it could help reverse the damaging trends in our culture around body image and self-esteem, empowering countless women and girls in the long run. My friends and I had our first "we can do this" moment about 10 years ago. I'd befriended an incredible Congolese refugee living in a refugee camp, Isaiah. He passed all the national exams and got into university but couldn't pay his tuition, being a refugee. A friend of mine had recently started volunteering with a new nonprofit that was doing something called crowdfunding and microfinance, where a lot of people could get together and chip in a little bit to achieve something big. We decided we can do this for Isaiah, and we reached out to a dozen of our friends and had his tuition funded in less than 3 days. I actually cried when I got the photo and the news that Isaiah had successfully defended his dissertation, graduated, and gotten engaged. What a world away from the bleak despair of decades in a refugee camp, thanks to a few friends with a few dollars to spare and the technology to send money halfway around the world. That organization, the crowdfunding one that my friend was helping get started 10 years ago, it's alive and thriving today, and it's called Kiva, and I work there now. Kiva makes it possible to do what we did for Isaiah, to create those success stories, thousands of them every single day. You can go on Kiva's website and collectively crowdfund with wonderful strangers to fund farmers in Ghana, entrepreneurs in Peru, university students in Kyrgyzstan, and clean water and solar projects in Kenya. And it's a loan, not a donation, so your money comes back to you. And you can withdraw it, or like most of the lenders, you can lend it again and again, maximizing your impact. Amazingly, in the last 10 years, over 2 million borrowers around the world have paid back almost 100% of the time, despite the fact that they live in war-torn regions, extreme poverty, and areas affected by natural disasters. And amazingly, millions of lenders lend around $2.5 million every single week, with nothing to gain, because they believe in people and the power of their dreams. Lenders now lend in the US as well, as they did to my dear friend Vanessa, who opened a flower shop across the bridge in San Francisco. And Vanessa was stunned to find that among her 139 lenders, people had lent to her from places like Guatemala, Malaysia, and Kenya, turning traditional ideas of who supports who on their head. Lenders also include entrepreneurial students like these 6th grade boys, featured here with their teacher Kristen Goggin and the lovely Chelsea Clinton. These boys, in the process of learning math at school, come up with business ideas and get small loans from their teachers to actually start and run those businesses. They pay back the loans to their teachers, and they use all of their profits to lend through Kiva. They lend globally, connecting to and empowering people all around the world. And they lend locally, contributing to their local economies and being able to walk into a local shop or bakery as not just a customer, but an investor. What a sense of agency for a 6th grader. And what a powerful way for a young person to learn early that they do have the power to change the world. The theme of this conference, Constellate, resonated with me. It's beautiful to reflect on the people and these stories and their passions like individual stars, connected to tens of thousands of other stars that it takes to make each of these things happen. What makes you burn brighter? What was that thing you thought of earlier? The thing you heard that got you riled up? Whatever it is that moves you, that drives you, you can do something. Give yourself permission to be the one who changes it. And use these to connect with us, tag us, ask us for our dollars, our time, our signatures. Technology has put the power to create opportunity, change lives, to shape the world and the future in our hands. Power is all around us now. It's in this room of inspired, intelligent people. It's in these crazy little devices that connect us to millions of people to create movements for good. And power is here. It's punching you in the gut. It's tugging at your heartstrings. It's raising your blood pressure every time you hear about something in the world that has to change. So get riled up, because you are so powerful. And armed with these to connect with us, we are a force to be reckoned with. And I can't wait to see what we do next. Thank you.